welcome to episode number 15, hard to believe, of The Final Whistle. I am Kyle, he is Mark, and we are wearing black because we are mourning the loss of the Cleveland Browns. And Mark, how are you doing today, my guy? I know you're a little under the weather, but hey, we keep going, we keep thriving, right?
We're here, man. Yeah, we're enjoying our first snow in Northeast Ohio. We're wearing black because the Browns are officially dead in the water. I decided to wear a Joker shirt specifically because Kevin Stefanski and this organization are a bunch of jokes, and I just have one way to start our show off, Kyle.
What's that? We'll play.
Give it a sec.
That is awesome.
For our fallen Browns, the
For
terrible fallen Browns.
for fallen Browns. And hey, before we get started, and in case my internet goes wonky again, we just want to say Happy Veterans Day to all the vets that serve. We thank you for your service. It's a job that is not for the weak. So we thank you for protecting our country. We wouldn't be here today in our free country without you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I wanted to get that away before, in case my internet goes wonky again, and we have to cut it short.
Yeah,
But
facts.
let's start. I guess we'll start with the topic at hand, as we were talking about. The Browns lose to the Jets 22 or 27 to 20, and the Browns are just abysmal, Mark. The offense is still horrible. Dylan Gabriel is still at the helm for now. Special teams sucks. They let two straight or back-to-back kick returns go. And Mark, I don't even know where to start because you pretty much lost to a team that sold all their players last week in a trade deadline. Now you come back and this is how you perform. Now you're 2-7, and coaches are calling for we're calling for coaches' heads, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, they have officially found another new way to lose. I believe there was a 98-yard or 99-yard kick return, and
99.
then the punt return right after to put us down 14-7. I don't really understand how you continue to give this offense the vote of confidence based off the fact that we can't really score the ball outside of the first scripted drive. It doesn't make sense to me. Your defense holds a team under 175 total yards, and we still lose the ball game after scoring 20 points. I mean, I don't know what more you can ask for as a defense other than what you're getting. They're on the field all the time. Our offense is abysmal. Jerry Judy leads the league in drops, and he's our number one. I'm surprised he caught the touchdown that he
Me
did.
too. I was surprised he had
Um,
that big of a game the way he's been
yeah, I
playing.
mean, he finally showed up a little bit, but I mean, the Browns I think lead the league in drops as a team, altogether, if I'm not mistaken. They Our offense is abysmal. The best we have is a running game, and we can't even run the ball because everybody stacks the box. They know Gabriel isn't a threat. Um, and Kyle, I think I've changed my mind. At this point, I don't know that I want Sanders to play because it's not going
Wow.
to do him. I don't know that it's going to do him any good. And I don't know that he's going to get the chance that he thinks it would be with the lack of weapons that we have and the lack of heart that the team has. Like, it seems like our offense doesn't play with any heart at all. And I think while it would give us a spark, it's not going to do anything when your offense and your offensive weapons are so lackluster and the play calling is so abysmal and against being a good offense. I just don't know that really any rookie can thrive in this system at this point.
No, and I used to ask the question, when is enough enough? How long? I mean, okay, you let Stefanski go to the end of the season because you're not going to hire a guy mid-season, so that's just a nuisance. But you have to fire. You got to let him go. The player, he lost the locker room, he lost the players, and everyone's saying, oh, he's a good coach. He's probably more of a good coordinator. Yes, he got us to the playoffs those 2 years, but he's got to go. He's lost the locker room, and you cannot put that effort on the field. Like they just look, defense even look like they couldn't stop the run in the fourth quarter. They were just tired. Like Brees Hall ran down their throat, ran that 42-yard swing pass, or was it swing pass, screen pass, or whatever, and
Yeah.
they went 42 yards. And they should have been well rested because you obviously let 2 kick returns go. So I don't understand how you're not, but it's frustrating. And now you got a special teams that came and stop a kick 2 straight. That is Browns. That is classic Cleveland Browns right there. Now I get if it's okay, maybe one this game and maybe one week 18, 17, okay, whatever. That's part of football. But to do it back to back kicks, you let 2 kicks go.
Yeah.
Come on, that is awful. And as for the offense, I don't know. Gabriel's not the answer. We still don't know if Sanders is the answer. You still got Watson there, who's nobody. His practice window should be opening pretty soon. If that opens, I don't know. I think we go back to the Sanders thing, Mark. You don't want him to play. I mean, he might not play, but I'm telling you, if Sanders play or doesn't play before Watson, I don't think Sanders plays a snap here. And we could go round and round about that still, but I don't know. It's frustrating because you technically almost could be maybe 4-5 at the least right now. You should have won the Minnesota
I mean,
game.
yeah, we could be in it. We could be in it.
We should have won the Minnesota game. You should have won the Cincinnati game. You're luckily you won the Packers game. I don't know how you won the Packers game. That should have been a loss right there because now you should be 1-8 at this point, tied for the number 1 pick. And then what was I gonna say? You got a quarterback who can't throw more than 10 yards down the field. That one touchdown pass he had was short. Now, luckily, he almost overthrew Jerry Jeudy on that other touchdown, so it's like he can't throw. It's like,
Yep.
what are we doing here? And the owner's not going to do nothing. So look at Tennessee. They fired their coach, and they're 1-8. They didn't care. They fired him. He's like, all right, goodbye. You ain't gonna do anything here. So
And this was that coach's first year as well.
actually second, I think, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
second. So okay, second year up, they're not putting up with it, and they played better without him, but still they're 1-8. It is what it is there, but it's frustrating. You got a team, the defense that can win you games, that can get you to the playoffs, but your offense sucks, your kicking sucks. He's been better, but still, special team sucks. Mark, it's very very frustrating, and I don't know what else to say at this point.
I mean, yeah, it's at this point I can't tell if it's like a tanking situation. Um, because Haslam has been saying for a little while now that he's not going to put up with lackluster, mediocre teams and performances. Yet we're hanging on to this coaching staff and this regime when they had one good year. Um, I understand there were some big trades that you thought were going to be home runs that ended up bad. And as a failing organization, I think everybody can say whether you liked the trade or not, them going for it meant that they cared. Um, but at this point in time, I really don't understand how you back these guys up anymore. Um, Based off of the fact that they haven't gotten any better, they haven't made any changes. They've been extremely stubborn recently in making changes at all. And it takes to the point where they're basically getting torched on social media about being fired to make any type of change, and it doesn't make any sense. Um,
And
I mean,
okay,
it seems like we're gonna get until the end of the season, which I would be surprised if they didn't at this point. But I would really hope that something is going to change in the off season, because otherwise you're looking at a whole nother year of this.
yeah, I mean, you're probably still looking at maybe better culture where okay, you could see the steps taken, the positive steps next year, and then next year we get the playoffs. But as the schedule getting better, you got the Ravens who are playing 100% better. You got
And they're
you got
healthy.
you got the 49ers coming, the Bills coming, Steelers are there, Bengals are playing a little bit better than you are. The Bears aren't much. Tennessee might be your only win at the Raiders, maybe 2 wins if that. But and this is interesting, Mike. We talked about this a little bit too, but that Paul DePodesta leaving, maybe he knows something we don't. That maybe it was either, hey, we're changing it up, so feel free to find a job, so it doesn't look bad in the organization for firing him. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe it's just a coincidence, whatever. But it is very frustrating, and I saw a stat with this regime with Podesta, AB, and Stefanski, or at least Podesta. It's his 100th loss with the Cleveland Browns, if that tells you anything with how this record is going. So it's very frustrating. What do you? It's what we don't know what to. I don't even know what to do at this point. You're 2-7. You're playing pretty much for pride. You're lucky your defensive player of the year has not requested a trade again. Maybe he will at the end of the season. We don't know, but and you gotta feel for. I feel for Jim Schwartz. We talk about this all the time, Mark. Jim Schwartz, you feel for him. He's doing all he can for this team, and at some point, when you free him. Now, I say if we fire Stefanski, you give Schwartz, hey, you want an interview? I give him the first interview, and then just go from there. But at some point, you got to pull the plug. You got to pull the plug. You got to move on. It's time.
Yep.
It's getting stale. It's no other teams have problems firing their coaches. I'm sure there's going to be a couple others. Maybe probably Arizona's probably going to get fired unless I don't see them making a run. Maybe Oakland or Vegas, even though they just hired. I don't know, but there's going to be teams getting fired, but you can't sit pat because it's just the same old. It's going to be the same thing next year, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We'll see what like at this point, I'd rather them tank get the best possible pick. You're probably going to get the second pick at this point, especially having to play Tennessee in the regular season. But tank, get the best pick, and then fire these guys before the draft so they can't ruin the team anymore. And hopefully we can fix this with the draft capital that we do have.
So we'll see as they play the Ravens this week. Probably another bludgeoning. So cannot wait to talk about it again and talk about another loss next week. All right, we're gonna move on here to keep things a little at pace here. Jaguars and the Texans, as this is kind of a thing for Browns fans to keep an eye on for draft purposes. As Houston, what a game, wins 30-29. Houston bounces back, keeps their season alive by not much, keeps their at least their wild card hopes alive. The division's kind of going to the Colts as they are aimed to, but impressive. But Mark, have the Jags hit a wall? Is Lawrence going to be the guy that probably maybe they move on from if they don't make the playoffs this year? Because it's looking like they're 5-4 and they're going in the wrong direction.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if they do move on from him. I think the expectations he had were great, and he's not really living up to them. I know, I believe it was either last year or 2 years ago, he had that magical playoff run where he came back, won some pretty crazy games. But since then, he's been lackluster, and they've put weapons around him. They gave him his college running back in ETN. They gave him Brian Thomas Jr. They got Travis Hunter this year, which I know he's a raw talent, and he's been injured, but they've put weapons around him. Even before that, they had Ridley, and they had I can't remember his name, but a pretty good slot receiver as well, Christian Kirk. They
Yeah.
signed Christian Kirk to that big deal after he left Arizona. So he hasn't had a shortage of weapons. He just hasn't performed. And then you go into a game where you're playing a Houston team without their QB1, and he gets outplayed by Davis Mills.
Yeah.
So, I mean, read into that how you will. Obviously, Houston doesn't have a slouch of an offense either. Nico Collins goes for 7 for 136. Schultz goes for 7 for 53 and a touchdown. So, I mean, they have some firepower over there, but at the same time, I mean, when you're getting outplayed by backups on a regular, and Khan has been another owner that has said he's not going to put up with lackluster performances anymore, that the city of Jacksonville deserves better. So I don't think it's out of the realm for them to move on from him if he doesn't start shaping up. Because again, he threw the ball 23 times yesterday. He only throws for 158 yards, touchdown and interception with a 27.8 QBR, and they just traded for Jacoby Myers as well. So, I mean, they're giving him all the opportunities, and he's just not capitalizing.
Yeah, and who would have done? And it's for Browns fans. You're happy because the more they lose, the closer to the top 10 they get. I don't think they'll fall in the top 10, but who knows at this point? But it's very interesting because you got a yeah, you played without Houston played without their starting quarterback, and now that Houston doesn't even have a running back. they are literally going by committee. They don't have Joe Mixon. No one's talking about Joe Mixon. Where the hell has he been? Is he hurt? Is something else going on we don't know about? But he hasn't been any relying on Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, which Woody Marks has been kind of a diamond in the rough this year, as he had a decent game last night or yesterday. But when you come to the offense, Nico Collins, they really don't have that second receiver. They had Tank Dell, but he's hurt. We should maybe might be back at the end of the season if they're in the playoff hunt. Maybe not, depends. But it's tough. But yeah, with Jacksonville, they're 5-4, hanging around by a thread. But it's maybe was it beginner's luck at the beginning of the year with this new coach Liam Cohen, who kind of circled the wagons and brought him around. But now you're 5-4, and you're not winning the division. Both these teams are winning the division because it's the Colts, but. It's interesting. How long does Lawrence go? Is he going to get stale? We talk about stale. Is how long he got in the playoffs, but how long is, like you said, the Jaguars going to stay with them? I think maybe they're going to continue because they still got somewhat of a freshman or a franchise quarterback. I think. I mean, they got the weapons. I think their defense needs a little more rep. They got Josh Hines Allen, but I think they need a couple more
That I
studs.
do agree with.
They need a couple more defensive studs. So maybe if you go defensive heavy in the draft, but now you don't get a first round pick. You got to wait till the second unless you somehow can buy your way back into the late first round. So it might. I don't know. I don't. Jags might be for another long year next year if you think about it after this year, especially if they don't make the playoffs after this great start this year.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think their big option right now and their main option is that what they need to do is they need to shore up that defense because they are scoring points. They just can't stop. And they've never been able to get a stop. I know
Nope.
they have their version of Josh Allen, and he's like decent, but outside of him, you don't really have anything, and they don't make moves on the defensive end to get anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you traded all your picks away. Like, I don't know. It's a tough situation down there because you either have to score more points to bail your defense out, or you have to shore up that defense. But how long do you sit with the offense that you have?
Yeah, and I mean their receivers are okay. Brian Thomas is good. Jacoby Myers is pretty good, but after that, they really don't got a tight. I mean, they got tight end, but he's hurt. He's been battling injury. The running backs are okay. ETN, is he kind of, I wouldn't say slowing down, but is he kind of is he kind of be turning like a Kenneth Walker where okay he's maybe not slowing down, but they know his tendencies, so they're game playing around him, and they brought that Tune guy, and I think that Tune's going to take over number one. We thought Tune would take over number one this year, but they're splitting the backfield, so it's going to be very interesting if they do without a first round pick. I mean, if you don't have a first round pick, it doesn't really necessarily kill you for non football fans, but you kind of like, well, is it worth trading that first round pick for who you got? And
I mean,
so
yeah.
it just depends on how your team does. Because speaking of season, they're looking they might be playoffs, 20 plus for the draft pick, but now you're looking at the teens, and we'll see how they do coming up this week for both. As Houston's hanging around, they're both hanging around. It should be a very interesting race, especially in a wild card for the AFC division or AFC conference. So we're gonna move on to a very interesting game, Mark. We can't wrap our head around it as we talked about. The Bills lose to Miami Dolphins 30-13. Bills coming off an emotional win over Kansas City. In Miami, we don't understand what's going on in Miami. They lose. They're out of it. Don't get us wrong, but we write them off, and they come out and play this type of game. I don't even know where to start this game because both teams they look totally different than what we saw last week.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think like Allen didn't play a bad game. He goes for 306, 2 touchdowns. He just didn't really get any help. Meanwhile, the Dolphins kind of just rode Achan to the finish line here on pop off for 30 points in a game. Um, Maybe saving Mike McDaniel another week or two. I mean, they pretty much have two weapons. They have Waddle, they have Achan, and that's about it. Um, so when it comes to that, I mean, how you don't game plan for that, I really don't know because Tua still threw 2 interceptions and you only scored 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's very interesting. The Bills, you expect them to be so good year in and year out, and then they
Right.
have these games where they're just in and out, up and
Right.
down. up and down, and I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah, it's frustrating because you see these teams, you see how they're playing, and it's mind boggling because Miami. That's the Bills. They're 6-3. They're supposed to be this dominant team. These are things you're supposed to care. Miami was on a 6-game losing streak with them, with them going into this game, and now you let them win, and obviously, like we said, they're not going nowhere. But still, the offense cannot. I mean, offense started off late. They couldn't get James Cook. What is going on with James Cook? He has these. He's supposed to be like he's getting bottled up, and it's they don't have receivers. I don't get. It's one thing I don't get about the Bills. They keep winning, but they don't get receivers. Now you're lost Dalton Kincaid for who knows how long. He's got a hamstring. Maybe it's just minor where he can play next week, but you're going to need him down the stretch because he's one of their offensive weapons. When you don't have you have receivers, but they don't use them properly. If that makes sense. Like they're not using them the way they should. So
I
like
mean, yeah, I agree.
and you're using these receivers that like okay, they don't have a true number one like other teams. Like you have a number one, like the Kansas City has a Rashid Rice, Eagles have AJ Brown, and they don't have a number one. So I think it's come back to bite them a little bit now. That defense should not have let the Bills, or they should not let that Bills hanging around. But that defense the Dolphins have. But yeah, you got to give it Achan. He had what almost 245 plus yards, touchdown carries off that defense. That's supposed to be one of the best. Now, granted, they're missing a key piece here and there, but still, you got Joey Bosa, you got one of the best, DNs in the league, and now you struggle against the team, and the schedule don't get easier because you still got the Patriots coming up. You might not even win your own division all of a sudden because the Patriots are rolling; they're 8-2, and then you got Houston, who's on the road. Who Houston's going to be playing for their life. It's on Thursday Night Football, so it's going to be very interesting how the season and obviously they're going to have some fallout. You still got the Bucks. The Bucks is not an easy game this coming week, so you got a lot to play. You got the Eagles coming up, so you might be struggling to reach the playoffs here, the Bills at this point with that schedule. I'll tell you that because and you got to go to the Steelers. So is there a chance they miss the playoffs or a wild card or maybe barely get a wild card team or spot if they somehow don't win, don't finish in the division, finish division leaders mark? Can that be a possibility all of a sudden?
I mean, I do think it is, especially when you talk about an offense that is, I mean, quite honestly, when you talk about a team that is very Josh Allen dependent, if Josh Allen doesn't put on his cape and save them every week, they don't really do much. So, with a couple of these other teams rolling, and and if they start to figure it out, you could see the Bills in some big trouble because I do think the Patriots have a very, very, very high shot to take that division over. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
fighting with a wild card spot over teams that you're starting to lose tiebreakers over at this point in time.
Yeah, and Texans they're probably playing for a wild card. Steelers are hanging on by a thread for that division, but they still got the Ravens breathing down their neck. Eagles are the Eagles, so they're not out of these woods yet. If they don't, if they make the play, I'll be very surprised if they're the division winner. Let's put it that way. Will they make a wild card? Probably, but if they don't somehow, I would not be surprised if they don't somehow make the playoffs come December with the schedule they got. So we'll see how the Bills do. Dolphins are still out of it as their certs are playing for just pride at this point. But yeah, we'll see how the Bills do. They got the Bucks. That's an interesting game. We'll talk about here in a minute. But let's also talk about the Pats and the Bucks. That was an interesting game down in Florida. As the Pats win 28-23, and as a Browns fan, Mark, we're tearing the Band-Aid right off. As Mike Vrabel does it again, he leads his team to 8-2. And I think for Browns fans or just watching this game, Mark, I think it's more so not the game itself, the coaching. Because look, if you're football fans, you know how bad the past couple years Patriots have been. You come in this year and you look at what Vrabel's done, Mark, and it's possible it could be done with a coaching change and a cultural shift. And Pats are 8-2, sitting pretty and probably making the playoffs at this point.
I mean, yeah, and he's got them rolling in all phases of the game. Drake May has grown incredibly. He looks like the next big thing over there in New England. Um, Travion Henderson goes for 14, 150, and two touchdowns. Um, I mean, when you can run the ball and have Drake May playing the way he's playing, they're going to be surgical. And on the other side, I mean, it was a good game by both teams. You have Baker. If you want to talk about ripping the band-aid off of for Browns fans, just as a whole, you've got a coach that you let walk out the door, and
Hmm.
you've got a prior quarterback that was kind of exiled from three different teams, including ours. He throws for 273, three touchdowns. With Egbuka coming back and having another big game with 115 in a tub. I mean, basically all around here, you're looking at a good game, good coaching, and I mean, as a Browns fan and as a football fan, you kind of just look at these things and you say, "Wow, look what cultures can do for people." When you look at Baker, look at the culture he went into in Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles and that group, they always keep a good culture. Brady has talked about it at length, how good that culture is with Todd Bowles. And then when you talk about Vrabel, I mean, even in Tennessee with bad teams, he willed them into the playoffs based off of his culture and his coaching. And now he's doing the same with the Patriots on a complete turnaround. Um, he's got Drake May firing. He's got the running game firing. You bring in Stephon Diggs, who, while he's not necessarily producing how maybe you expected him to, stats wise, as a leader, he's producing great things. Um, as uh as you're seeing some of these guys, I mean, go completely crazy. Like you've got a young guy in Kyle Williams going for a 72-yard touchdown. Mac Hollins, who a lot of people wrote off after he left
Yeah.
Las Vegas and had a rough stint in Buffalo. He goes for 106 as well. And he's building up some confidence there in New England. I mean, coach coaching and cultures can change a lot of things, especially for grown men in the NFL, and you see it time and time again with these quote unquote quick rebuilds.
Yeah, and you could tell. And I was talking to some of people yesterday. Well, let's look at the Bears too. The Bears, how quick they've been turning it around. They got a quarter. They're 6-3. They got a coach. Well, it's first year. We can't. We like to go. We can't really say. I mean, you could say yeah, things off the first year, but they got to start with their. Is it going to be a sophomore slump next year? We still got to look at those things, but they're playing well. And so are the Pats. They're 8-2. And I'm looking at their schedule right now. They got the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. So they could, if they don't slip up until Bills and Ravens, which they could be maybe 11-2 going into that Bills game, which could pretty much be for the division at that cushion of the early division spot. They got a favorable schedule. I don't see a reason how they don't miss the or make the playoffs unless they completely just fall off the rails down the stretch mark. But yeah, and it's Baker's been playing well, and they're missing, and maybe some of their weapons not being there, like a Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. Maybe that's going to catch up to them at some point because, especially Bucky Irving, we thought Bucky was going to play this week, but he did not. So, but yeah, it's the
I mean, he
Bucks.
hasn't played in 2 months.
No, and they keep saying he's going to come back and play, but he hasn't. So, I think I think the Bucks will be okay. They should win it because the division's kind of crappy, so they should win. But when you get to the playoffs, I think they're gonna have a hard time winning when you don't have a dominant. Luckily, they got Ibuka, what you said. But how long until they once they take him away, then someone else got to step up like a Tez Johnson or Cade Otton, which they have. But how long can they sustain that success? You could see when against Detroit on Monday night a couple weeks ago, we shut them down. They have no answers. So it's very interesting to see down the stretch the Bucks. What they got when you got Carolina breathing down your neck, but Carolina should still. We don't. Carolina's still kind of that frisky team that could just turn it on a whim. They lost to New Orleans this week, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a Browns fan. You had Vrabel right there. You had Vrabel sitting right there. All you had to do is pull the trigger and be like, "Hey, we're going with Vrabel." And who knows where it could have been? We could have been probably in the same, maybe in the same spot the Patriots are, or maybe at least a couple games better than what we are. And it's frustrating that we are sitting here watching all these teams win. And I guess that's just life of a Browns fan.
Yep, I agree. And I mean, what's even worse is outside of the Patriots, this is the only other home that Vrabel would know. He grew up as a Browns fan. He was an Ohio State Buckeye. Came and coached the Browns again the year before. Like it was either us or New England, and we just let him walk out the door. And I mean, you know his pedigree as a coach
Yep.
when it comes to willing bad teams and turning them around. It's It's just insane.
It's incredible the way, and I just laugh. People are like, "Oh, it's, the Browns are killing football for me." I go, I get it, but at the same time, you gotta just appreciate football. You gotta, yes, okay, it sucks you're a Browns fan, but we're all Browns fans. But at the same time, you watch good games like you saw with that Pats Bucks. That those type of games make you appreciate football. Like, yeah, our team suck, and it hurts, sucks seeing all these teams turning around and we're not. But I'm even though we
Yep.
joke like we're giving up on this team, I'm still not gonna give up on this team. I'm still gonna watch each and every single week. I'm still gonna watch the draft. I'm still gonna watch preseason games. It's just part of the fandom. Like I get it. Everybody's frustrated. You don't want to watch football, but you guys and there's a couple people and they know who they are. Just don't give up on football. You guys love football too much to just stop watching and rooting and all that. Just keep watching because I promise you. And y'all may laugh when I say this, but they're gonna win. They're gonna win, and we're gonna be enjoying it. And it's gonna be a long, and maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after. But once they finally win, we're gonna be enjoying it, and all these hardships are gonna look back and laugh. So just I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear I'm giving up football because that's just asinine, 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 stupid. I don't know why everybody just says that, but just enjoy the ride, folks, because you got a lot of football, and we're young, and the people that are staying are like our age. So it's just you're young. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there at some point. Just hang on for the ride, but we'll see. It's tough. It's tough when you get games like this and people involved like that. So, all right, we're gonna talk one more before we get
Yeah,
going.
agree.
Rams and the 49ers. It was kind of a sluggish type of Sunday again, which kind of interesting the past couple Sundays, but the Rams win 42-26 mark. Rams kind of get their lick back against the 49ers, who are still missing their QB, missing one of their top receivers, missing a couple defensive key players, but Rams look like a complete new team. That division is really interesting. Rams, Seattle, and 49ers all playing for wild card and division spot mark, but here come the Rams. They're just chugging along 7-2 and keeping pace in a division that we thought maybe was going to be a 49ers runaway to begin the season.
Yeah, I mean, two words: Matt Stafford. That dude
Mm-hmm.
is still spinning it, and he's almost got a full head of gray hair. 4 touchdowns, 280 yards. Devontae Adams, Puka Nakua. You're starting to see now that they're getting healthy how good that tandem can be. And when you've
Yep.
got a guy that can literally look one way and throw it the other way 50 yards down the field, I mean, you know you got a problem. But I'm gonna go back to a point that you said. Supposedly the 49ers are out their quarterback. Are they? Because Mac Jones goes 33 for 39 with 319 yards and 3 tubs. He's been playing amazing in that system. Amazing in that system. Now, granted, they have a lack of weapons still. He pretty much has Kittle and McCaffrey, and that's really it. Um, on top of that, I mean, they traded away Debo Samuel, which obviously hurts. Jawan Jennings has been in and out of the lineup. Ayuk hasn't come back yet, and things of that nature. They brought in Kendrick Bourne and Sky Moore, but it's taken them a little bit of time to kind of speed up and get into the system a little bit. Um, but I mean, the 49ers aren't out of it yet, especially if Mac Jones is going to play this well. I think
Right.
they kind of just ran into a buzzsaw of the Rams right now, who are sitting at 7-2, great coached. Um, you're seeing Kyron Williams and Blake Corum starting to split the backfield a little bit to keep each other's tires with some tread to go the long haul. Um, Adams and Puka, I mean, they look great when they're on the field together. Terrence Ferguson, that rookie tight end, he makes a big catch every week, and he seems to be starting to come along
Finally got a tight
as
end.
well as yeah. Well, and then they got Higby as well, who's still good in short yardage. I mean, as
They
long as you
haven't
got Matt Stafford and he's going to throw like this, you got a chance.
the past couple of years, you really have been using Higby as you get like they're not really using him a lot, but they found like you said, go ahead, you continue, but yeah, they found their tight end with Ferguson there.
I mean, he's good. Like as long as Matt Stafford's going to play anywhere close to this level, you're not only always going to have a chance, but you're always going to be a Super Bowl contender, not just a playoff one and done. not just whatever. Like, I mean, he's spinning it
Hmm.
another week in a row where he's looking one way, he throws a bomb the other way to a wide open receiver on point, on target, and he's rocking and rolling. I mean, he's incredible. And I mean, we all knew his arm talent leaving when he entered the draft. We all know that everybody says that he's got the best arm ever to be in football. And I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer and he's showing it every week.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see how they how it goes with that. As speaking of tight ends, 49ers got a good tight end behind Kittle. That Luke Farrell was playing very well as he caught a touchdown pass yesterday at the end of the game, kind of at the end of the game in garbage time. But they look pretty good, and it's gonna be interesting. If do they get their it's going near with that quarterback? I mean, they kind of struggled yesterday, but like you said, it's a buzzsaw of the Rams, so we gotta give them credit there. But the 49ers are hanging on by a thread. You just like they're like Jacksonville, they're hanging in there. They got some games that they should still win down the stretch, but if it's just all about if they can find a way to rally and make that push because I think you're pretty much playing for a wild card because Seattle ain't losing. Rams ain't losing until they play each other. I don't think Seattle's a buzzsaw too. The first there's three. I saw a stat with Seattle. The three games are like there's three games they put up the most points in the first half. That's like an NFL record, Mark. That is incredible the way Seattle's been playing and the Rams have been playing. So it's gonna be
I
that
mean,
division could be very
see,
fun down the
I
stretch.
I personally think Seattle might be the best team in football right now.
Yeah, the way they're playing before, and I think it goes. I mean, Colts had some flaws yesterday. I think it'd still be the Colts or the Seahawks, Colts, maybe Patriots, because no one's really pulling away in the AFC. Everybody's being up, even in NFC. Everybody has flaws right now, but if you take out the Seahawks,
Yeah.
Colts, and maybe Patriots, they all look the part for what the season is right now and how the season's been going with all these lackluster games.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's insane and I mean, it's pretty clear cut at this point where the upper echelon is, but in that upper echelon everybody kind of is the same and in the same bunch. So we're making up for or we're making into I mean, we're about to enter week 11 here.
Hmm.
In week 11 we have about 7 more weeks of craziness and I mean, you're only going to see these upper echelon of teams battle it out as these playoff runs happen and see who's the best of the best. And I mean, the cream is always going to rise to the top here, and it'll be very interesting to see because, as everybody knows, you can look on paper and see one thing, but you never know what's going to happen coming down the stretch with injuries, with certain people coming back, and with teams
Yeah.
heating up. I mean, you're seeing some of these offenses kind of start to get their footing and inching closer to wins. When they start to get those wins, we'll see what happens.
Yep, it's going to be a very interesting how this all plays out as Mark said. Injuries are still as the Chargers might have lost their one of their rookie tight ends to a knee injury. We'll find out more about that later on this week. But so yeah, injuries are going to play a part, and especially when it comes to fantasy too. We always joke like, whoever has whoever wants fantasy got a band aid because that's how many injuries there has been and all that. So it's very interesting to see down the stretch. So we're gonna pick some games here before we move on. As we're gonna start, we got some interesting games this week. We're gonna start Bills and Bucks in Buffalo. Both teams need a win, coming off tough losses. So, Mark, who do you got and why?
I I think I'm going to take the Bucks on this one. My reasoning why is because Tampa Bay has been playing and is used to playing in not only close games but in close shootout games, and the Bills defense happens to allow and create a lot of shootouts to happen. Um, and I think when it comes down to it, I think the Bucks defense is a bit more reliable, and Baker's playing at the top of his game. I think give me the Bucks, and it'll be a close one.
It's tough. I think I'm leaning Bucks too. I just think what the Bills showed, they like we talked about, they still don't have a key wide receiver. Their tight end's going to be out. And running game hasn't really been there. I like the Bucks. Would I be surprised the Bills win? No, but I think the Bucks, even with their injuries, they're still more complete. They still got Ibuko. They still got Kate on. They still got their running game. Baker could run a little bit. So give me the Bucks.
Yep.
Probably a close game, I would say. Give me Bucks in that one. All right, we move on to. They're all a bunch of later games. Actually, the one's not. Chargers in Jacksonville. This is kind of a playoff type of spot. Playoff hopes for Jacksonville on the line, Mark. I'm going Chargers. I think the Jacksonville's reeling. They're going to continue to reel. Chargers had a big win this past Sunday on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers and kind of ran them out of the building. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers ran away with it. But Mark, as you said, it's football, and Jacksonville could come right out and beat the Chargers. But I'm going Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the way they're coached. They've gotten the injury bug here pretty bad, being that they're on, I believe, their third and fourth running back each and every week, for at least the next couple of weeks. Herbert's playing well in the system. They've got some weapons. McConkey um, is as good as it gets. Quentin Johnston kind of got rid of his dropsies a little bit and looks like a decent receiver here. Um, I like the Chargers. I just don't think the Jags have it in them to make the run that they need. But the Chargers are a sneaky good team, and if they can start to get healthy and figure it out, I think they're really dangerous moving forward and moving in to the back stretch of the season.
Yeah, they're very dangerous. They played the way they did yesterday, lights out against Pittsburgh. I think it's gonna be very tough. As very tough. They'll be very tough out in the playoffs come January. Move on to Rams and Seahawks for the division lead. This is a game we're very excited to. Too bad it's at 4. It's not on prime time. It's at 4 o'clock in the middle of a cluster of games. But Mark, who do you like?
Yeah,
It's tough, I know.
very tough. Um, it's so tough because like they're so evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be a great game at the end of the day. Shit, I don't know. I just, I don't know. It's like it's such a crapshoot. Both teams are playing such good football,
Right?
and I mean, not only that, but like you've got you've got high offenses, you've got good defenses, and good coaching. That's the other thing is like I can't even sit there and say that the coaches that you're outmatched on either coach based off of the fact that they're both coaching at a high level and just finding a way to win ball games. Um, I don't know, Kyle. Give me your reasoning. Give me your reasoning because I can't pick. I genuinely cannot pick.
It's a toss up. I see.
I
Let
just
me look. See, let me look. Who's home? I forgot who's home. I just was looking at it before we came on the air with everything.
I'm, I was trying to look as well, but like even at home, e- the only thing
LA's
is if
home.
Seattle is home, which
LA's home.
like because the Rams when the Rams play at home, they're not crazy good at home because
Right.
it's not really a home field advantage. But Darnold looks like exactly the guy that he was drafted to be in New York right now.
They're see they have their when it comes to offense, LA's got the better running game. Seattle's got the better receiving game. I'm going
You know
LA.
what? I
I'm
got
going
it.
LA.
I'm gonna go with the Rams.
You're
I'm
going
gonna
me
go with
too.
the Rams.
Me
I
too.
think I think I think the Rams are starting to implement their run game a little bit more. And now that they're kind of sharing the backfield,
Yep.
I think that as long as Devontae Adams is healthy, he did have that back spasm thing going on um in the middle of yesterday's game, which I did notice, but he kept coming back and whatever. Tried to get that second tub. I'm gonna I'm gonna go the
I'm
Rams,
I'm going Rams. I'm going Rams
but
too.
I think it comes down to a last second score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. I think it's a last second score no matter what. Eh, This is the hardest game like this could be the NFC championship.
Yeah.
Genuinely speaking, depending on how the bracket falls out, this could be the NFC championship.
Yeah, it's be very interesting. I think the running game plays a factor. Seahawks don't really have a running game. They have a good guy in Charbonnet. Walker doesn't. I mean, Walker hasn't really been Walker since he got drafted, so I don't know what's going on there.
He
Running
has
game, but
he has games though. That's the other thing.
yeah, he has a couple carries. Didn't have a couple. He didn't have, the past couple games where he had much carries. So I'm going Rams. Mark's going Rams. I think running game becomes a factor later on
God,
in
that's
that
so
game.
hard to pick because I want to pick the Seahawks too.
Well, luckily they play on Thursday Night
You know
Football in a
what?
couple weeks.
I'm
Which
picking good football. I'm picking good football.
We love football. It is magical, and we're lucky to cover it along with all the other sports. All the other sports each and every single week we do this, so we are very exciting. But all right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna keep it going here because I know we're kind of on a time crunch here today with the time of recording. So let's go Kansas City, Denver. Interesting one. Kansas City's division hopes rely on this one, Mark. I'm going. Oh, this is tough too, but I can't say pulls their magic. Even though it's in Denver, and I can't say pulls their magic. Denver's
You
defense has kind of
think?
struggled here, lately, and I can't say pulls their magic out, keeps their division hopes alive, even though they'll probably sneak in regardless as a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, I actually see it the other way. I think the Broncos take a hold of this division. I've liked the football that they've been playing. It seems like Sean Payton, we talked about coaching and we talked about cultures and things like that. Seems like Sean Payton's winning culture is starting to pay off here. Um, I think I think the Broncos honestly win this division and it starts with this game. I do think the Chiefs sneak in as a wild card. I think they're too good of a team not to. But Denver's defense does traditionally play extremely well against Mahomes, and I think that continues this week. I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to figure it out a little bit more this week. The Chiefs' defense has kind of been iffy. I think I like the Broncos in a close one, but I think the Chiefs' reign over that division ends here, and they have Denver to answer to starting this year.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if Denver won, and it might not be Kansas City's year, and could they be another? I think they stay in before the Bills. I see the Bills would fall out of the playoffs for Kansas City. I just until it happens, you can't count out Kansas City
Oh,
regardless
100%.
of division or wild card. So I'm taking Kansas City in this one. I think they get back on track. They need it. They know what's at stake. I think Andy Reid and their defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo kind of play and pull out the stops as Denver has been their defense. If it wasn't for the defense being shaky, I would say yeah, Denver, but never know when this type of game. Division game, 4 o'clock, all eyes national will be on that one. So give me Kansas City. One more to wrap up the slate before we move on. Lions and Eagles, another one that we are. This is a great slate of football. Hopefully, it's not like the past couple of weeks where it's just been
This
absolute
NFL
crap.
slate is nuts.
It's been nuts, but knowing football's luck, we will probably have one good game out of the whatever how many games there are. So, but I'm going. It's just tough the way the Lions played this past week against Washington, but oof, I'm just like you in this one. Give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles they'll have a better offense. We'll see how they do against the
Eagles,
Packers.
huh?
Packers Monday night. Yeah, Eagles are at home. I like the Eagles in this one. I think they're if they don't win Monday Night Football against Packers, I think they win this one against Lions. Or they can win both, but I like the Eagles in this one.
I am actually going Lions. I think
Lions.
they found something this past week again when it came to JMO and opening up that offense. He had a crazy game last week. Gibbs, it's still Gibbs. He's having another crazy year. Um, the Lions are kind of doing what they've done the past couple of years and really hitting their stride mid-season. Um, and the Eagles defense hasn't been the Eagles defense that we have been used to seeing. Um, I I think the Lions win. I love the Eagles as well. So I could see this being one of those situations again where we're looking at a fourth quarter game where it's probably back and forth, but um I think the Lions' firepower on offense matches the Eagles really well, and they're younger and more explosive. So I'm going to go with the Lions on this one in a very close one.
One thing that concerns me, we go back to the defense. They let a JV Washington team kind of hang around and with all their injuries still. I don't know if I could trust their defense like Denver,
That is
but
true.
they let a JV Washington team without their starting quarterback, their best wide receiver, and they don't have a running game. So Washington really have a running game. So I like the Lions, or I like the Eagles over the Lions in this one. So that's the NFL slate. As it was a wild week, kind of a boring week, but hopefully the next couple weeks make up for it as we head towards the playoffs with that. But we want to give a shout out real quick to Sabrina and John on their engagement. It happened a couple of weeks ago. Get this, Mark, happened in Italy. The past happened in Italy, so it's
Wow.
very yeah. So they got engaged as a Sabrina. We know as me and Mark know Sabrina from school, and we know her sister Abby, who just opened that Butter Boom Bakery, as we remember, as we kind of promoted here on the show. So that's her sister. So Sabrina and John, congratulations on your engagement, and best of luck and everything moving forward and the wedding and the process. And hope all goes well. Congratulations here from the final whistle. So we're gonna move on here as we'll cover a couple things real quick before we get into college football. Mark, one of the big stories of the weekend broke yesterday during the Browns game, of course, that kicked salt into Cleveland fans' wounds as the Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz have been charged with pretty much, we could say pretty much rig betting is what they're calling. We're not going to bore you with the details, but pretty much rig betting. As according to Jeff Pesson, Ortiz has been arrested in Brooklyn. Clase is still at large. So, but Mark, here you go again. Another scandalous situation. This time it's with the Guardians, and it started all the way back to 2023. How about that? And just it's just stupid throwing all your life away for betting when you had it all in front of you.
One, especially in baseball. Baseball, you get the most guaranteed money. And for Class A, he's a very highly paid pitcher. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really understanding why. Like, I understand. Um, I believe I either read or heard a story that one of the withdrawals that he had from one of the betting sites was like 50 grand. What is 50 grand to you when you're making like 50 mil? Why?
Right?
Why throw your money? Why throw your life away for that? I don't want to call it a little amount of money because that's like a normal person's annual wage. But for
Right.
him, who makes that
It's
much
pocket
money and it's
change.
all guaranteed in baseball,
Right.
like you're throwing 50 mil away for 50 grand, rigging pitches, saying, "Oh well, I throw my best here." Why? Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares? And it's like I'm gonna go because now you've got the N you've they've got the NBA, they've gotten the MLB. I think you continue to see this more and more and more, and I still don't understand it because you've worked your entire life, and it's funny because W Class A for fleeing the country and going
Jesus.
into hiding. You're a
Good
bum
lord.
for that, buddy. Um, but I mean, like I don't understand it because like all of these stories, especially when it comes to baseball, they're poor Dominican kids, or in the NBA, like they've always dreamed of, and they come from nothing, and then you get all this money, and then like you're guaranteed in these sports, in the NBA, in the MLB, you're guaranteed more money than any other sport, and you're throwing it away for chump change when it comes to your guaranteed contract. Like, why? I don't get it. You've worked your whole life. You've given your story about how you came from nothing, and then you throw it away for the chump change of what
Yeah.
like your parents are making or what you got your parents out of.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It's frustrating, and we know he was kind of shaky last pro season against the Yankees when they were in the ALCS and they had a chance to get to the World
Yeah,
Series,
but now that comes into question. Did he
yeah,
throw those games?
yeah, I agree. I completely agree, and it's frustrating. Like you said, you had it all there, you had it all in front of you, and $50 or 50,000 is literally to him it's pocket change. You know, oh, okay, here we go. But to us, it's a lot. But it's frustrating. You guys are dumb. I can't. I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear. But you guys are dumb as they come. And now you got two things that are going on here. I don't get it. I don't get it. It is very frustrating. Uh, I don't know where we go from here, Mark. I don't know where we go from it.
I
It's
mean, I mean,
speechless.
but think about it this way. Like you brought up that he had a shaky postseason, and we would have gotten to the World Series. Now every bad performance in his career since 2023 comes into question.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't even hang your hat on. I was a great pitcher and I just made a mistake in those games, or I just got hit off of because now it looks like you rigged everything. Now it looks like you sabotaged the one sport that Cleveland has had and Cleveland has always looked to. We've always had a good baseball team. Always. The
Yeah,
Cavs are up and down. The Browns fucking suck always. But we've always had a good baseball team. They've always been decent, especially in a small market. And especially in the last 5 to 10 years, we've gotten far in the playoffs and had chances to go in the World Series. He blew saves. Now it all comes into question. Did you throw those games? How can I mean obviously he's now a federal runaway at this point, but like how can Cleveland, who you say you loved and you say you love to play for, like how can we ever forgive you because now all of your blunders come into question on did you fuck us over as a city out of a potential World Series?
And I
Because
feel
think about the money for the city that would have came in. Think about the money all for the organization that we could have had to potentially get back and not have to go through rebuilds and prospects. It's
well.
it's messed up.
The guy I feel bad for is Jose. Jose has given his whole. He took a pay cut to stay here and try to win, and he's not winning. He's not winning, and well, that's feel bad for him. I feel bad. That's the guy I feel bad for. He took a pay cut to be here, and now he might not win as a Cleveland Guardian.
Yeah, and
And
now you got a guy throwing games.
yeah, and now you got that going on. Now, I will say we played better without them, those two, towards the end of the season. So maybe that kind of helps. But at the same time, you got players who have given their life. I feel bad for Quant, not even Stephen Quant too. I feel bad for him because he kind of took his name's been on the trading block pretty much since the beginning of last season, 2025. So it's sad that it's come to this point, and it's sad. Now I get the teams they play baseball plays fantasy football. You hear stories about paying bets and all that. So that's nothing. But when you do this type of stuff, it's idiotic. It's idiotic that you come to this. You you ruin your career. You pretty much almost ruin your team's career. You ruin your reputation. Now it's. I mean, I know obviously nobody knew about it. At least we think behind closed doors. But now you ruin. The team didn't know. The team's caught off guard, and now you got a team that's in the middle of a transition process with the sales as they're getting a new owner. So I don't know. This team's mind boggling. They probably can do anything in the offseason. We'll talk more about that as we get going with the offseason. But it's frustrating, Mark. It's speechless to say. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And it's just like, obviously, for other people, for outside people that don't understand, um, especially if you don't know Kyle and I or a Cleveland sports fan personally, like, there's been a lot of, I'll call it heartbreaking Cleveland sports. And then, like, the reason we were so passionate about this specific subject is, for instance, Kyle and I and multiple of our other friends were at some of these games where we could have won and gotten to the World Series. And now
Yeah.
we're looking back on it and we're thinking how angry, how mad we were walking out of that stadium and could it have been prevented? Did we, as fans of the sport, of the team, get sold a dream just to find out that now, years later, it was over $50,000 that this guy never needed?
Yeah.
Like, so when you look at it from an outside perspective, it probably seems like, oh damn, it probably happens in sports all the time. But when it comes to the team in the area, the team that you root for, the team that you give your money to go see, especially in situations where you like for other fans, they might not even have the money, but they had the opportunity, that one opportunity to go to that playoff game, to go to whatever. Like you have to put it into perspective as that as well, because clearly these guys didn't. They saw the change, and I understand it because $50,000 is a lot of money to everybody, no matter what way you slice it. But like it hurts the city because then it's like, okay, we backed you. We spent our money on jerseys that ultimately, when you buy a Class A jersey, when you buy those jerseys, money goes into their pocket for that. So we're paying your bills, and then you use it to bet and fuck us over. So
Yeah.
as viewers, especially those of you that maybe aren't Cleveland baseball fans or Cleveland
Not
sports fans,
not even sports fans in
whatever,
general.
take that into the account as well. It's not, yeah, I mean, it's not just, oh damn, he bet, so what? Like there's a lot more that goes into it, and there's a lot more emotions affected by it that I don't think people always take into consideration when you think about it and when people are at these games. When I mean, there's a reason we do this podcast. We're diehard sports fans, especially when it comes to our Cleveland teams. We spend our money, we plan weeks around going to these events sometimes. I mean, there's been times where Kyle and I have spent and Kyle just dropped, but there's been instances where Kyle and I and our friends have taken months to go about planning these things, and then to understand that betting could be potentially deciding the outcome outright. It's um it's definitely frustrating. Kyle, I was just mentioning how again, like, not even just weeks, there's been months where you and I have planned with friends to um go after these events, go out for these events, and and now it comes into light. Like, there's always been the jokes and the speculation, oh, Vegas has this thing planned for, but you don't think about that when you're excited for an event to happen. And now it keeps coming out that more and more of these things actually are happening. So, like, it puts sports in jeopardy. It really does.
Yeah, it's very interesting integrity. I mean, I'm not getting to the integrity part yet. People could be like, "Oh, it's integrity of the game. It makes me want sports." But you guys gotta watch. Come on, you guys watch sports, and it's just frustrating. As Mark said, you had a chance to win the World Series or a chance to go to World Series. How many games was he throwing at that time? As if to begin in 2023, there's obviously something was going on. Obviously, there's always, and it's something like this, it takes years to even find out, and it always comes to light at some point. So it's just very very frustrating to see as from a Cleveland fan. It sucks. And Browns had like from the burning in the Cuyahoga River we had here to the Browns just moving and just different things. The Cleveland sports fan that just it's like we got a black cloud over our head. We got a black cloud over the sports, Cleveland sports, and it's just I don't know what to say anymore about it. You Mark hit it right in the head. He literally I don't even know how to top that. Like the passion that Mark had times that by I won't say a million, but how many Cleveland sports fans, whatever, all over the world, or I'll go billion. I don't know, but thousands. That's how the passion we have, and it just
No,
sucks.
times it by a million because I mean, at the end of the day, like, Kyle, you're a much bigger baseball fan than I am. You follow baseball a lot more, but Cleveland as a city, I'm gonna speak about it to end it. Cleveland as a city is very passionate about all their teams. They
Yeah,
show up for all their teams. They're always high in attendance ratings, no matter what sport it is. Cavs, Browns, um, Guardians, Monsters, they're always very high in attendance. Cleveland shows up for their teams. So to diss the fans that no matter how good, how bad you are, um, and basically creating an outcome of a game without playing the game, it hurts the city that does everything and anything they can to support their team and to support you as a player, no matter what. So yeah, times that by a million, because I know that we're not the only ones that feel this way about it, and there's people that are more passionate about these teams than we are.
yeah. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. As so, we assume Klaus is going to get arrested at some point. We're just waiting to see when that happens. But so yeah, stay tuned. Probably more in the story when the court dates happen. We'll keep you
Yeah, I
updated.
mean, some really close games, some surprise games, as well
Oh,
as
she
in the
gets-
day NCAA football. Um, I'm gonna go out a limb while we wait for Kyle to rejoin us here, and I'm gonna say NCAA football is the best kind of football. Why? Because especially in the NCAA, you never know week in and week out who's gonna show up and who's gonna win some of these games. I mean, you have upsets on upsets on upsets this year. You've got teams dying and resurrecting each and every week. You've got teams giving other you've got teams getting championship contenders, hard fought, hard nosed games every single week. Kyle, speaking about the NCAA, um I'm gonna say it for a second time. NCAA football is the best version of football that you can get. If you're not
Yeah,
a football fan, start with the NCAA because each and every week these teams are giving each other hard nosed games. Teams are showing up, teams are not showing up, and we're about to talk about it right now. I know, um, but I'll be interested to hear Kyle's take on some of these games, as we did talk a little bit on Saturday um, about them. Kyle, the floor is yours. Another great week in the NCAA.
yeah. Let's also talk real quick about the college football playoff rankings as they came out this past Tuesday. It'll come out again this Tuesday after or before the things recorded. So we're going off last week. So What caught your eye, Mark, in the rankings? The first type of rankings, as I think it, their NCAA's or the committee's telling us they're not going by strength of schedule this year. At least right now, they're not. They're going by eye test, and that's why Ohio State is number one, and Indiana is two, and A&M's three. So I think they're sending a message early. As long as you look the part, you're going to be ranked where you should be.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is they did catch a lot of scrutiny in last year's rankings um, when it came to understanding. I think the committee has a better understanding potentially of you can only play what you're given on your schedule. Some games look really good in the beginning of the season and don't necessarily pan out that way. But if you do what you're supposed to do and you win the way you're supposed to win, you're going to get rewarded. I will go on a limb and say that any of the three teams that ended up number one, whether it was Ohio State, um, Texas A&M, or Indiana, they all deserved the number one spot and all had an argument to get one. I mean, Indiana has a great resume. A&M probably has potentially the best resume, being in the SEC. Indiana beat um, multiple good teams throughout the year, high ranked teams. I mean, when you look at Indiana, you have at the time they boat raced a nine ranked Illinois. They beat a they went on the road and beat a at the time number three ranked Oregon by 10 points. Um so I mean those are two really good wins, but their out of conference schedule was really bad. Then you go to Texas A&M, who had again they have that SEC schedule. They beat a number eight Notre Dame at home by 1 point. They beat a highly touted Florida team. They dog walked a still ranked LSU team. And then you go into this week, and they dog walked a top 25 Missouri team. And A&M has looked really good, but when you look at Ohio State, um, excuse me, when you look at Ohio State as a whole, they beat number one ranked Texas to start the year with a brand new quarterback. Um, and then their schedule kind of sort of falls off, but it's not necessarily their fault. Um, like by the time they got to Illinois, Illinois had already kind of lost and their season kind of took a dump. They beat a number 17 ranked Illinois. Penn State, um, who was thought to be probably a top five team, um, ends up not ranked at all when Ohio State gets to them. So again, Kyle, just gonna rehash it. I think any of those three teams deserved or had an argument of deserving that number one spot, but at the same time, if you do look at eye test, Ohio State has two potential Heisman finalists, if not three, or four even if you look at the defensive side of the ball. And some of their opponents kind of shit the bed before they could even get to them. If we talk about strictly on paper, schedule wise, I think Indiana probably would deserve the number one spot based
Yeah,
off of the spots in which they beat some of these teams going on the road, beating number three Oregon and one of in probably a top three hardest places to play in Autzen, beating them by 10, and boat racing number nine Illinois at the time. A&M also had good wins, beating number eight Notre Dame at the time by a 1 point, beating a Florida team with a lot of firepower, beating a number 20 LSU team. But at the same time, I mean, then you look at this week's situation, which we talk about. Indiana struggles and struggles mightily with
but
a Penn State team that
that's a tough place to play in
Ohio
too.
State beat pretty handily, and very tough place to play in.
That
And
I would that's a tough place to play
I
too, though.
mean,
That's a tough place to play too. And at Penn State, you gotta
oh,
give credit to
it's
them.
an extremely tough place to play. Um, and Ohio State got the luxury there of I believe we played them at home. So but we also had the luxury of playing Illinois away as well. That kind of helps. We beat up a Washington team as well. Um, all three of those teams, again, had the argument for number one. But I think for the first time, I will say, at the time, the committee got it pretty right. I mean, again, you could have made the argument for the top three to be reordered or readjusted slightly in any type of way. But outside of that, I mean, I think all the other rankings were pretty deserving in the top 12. Um, Obviously, when it comes to the bracket itself, you add, I believe they added North Texas, correct? Which is
Memphis.
deserving right now and would be the front runner
Memphis.
for that group of five bid. But outside of that, I think they got it most of the way right. Now we have a big shakeup, which we're going to talk about when it comes to the ACC portion of things,
Yeah.
because Louisville and Virginia both lose this week and get upset as well. So you're going to have ACC shakeups coming up when it comes to that, because um, Miami also beat Syracuse. So we get to see kind of who leads the ACC run, as well as you have Big 12. I mean, you basically had the Big 12 front runner there with Texas Tech and BYU, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Um, they uh, they battled it out, and I mean BYU obviously was undefeated and made good work out of all those teams, so they deserve to be higher than Texas Tech. But now you've got Texas Tech leading the pack there in the Big 12 probably. So very interesting to see what this week's rankings are going to be moving forward here um, as the days go on. Um, and it'll be interesting to kind of see where where things shake out with the ACC and the Big 12 kind of changing, with the Big 10 having some head-to-head matchups in the top 25. You're going to see your team, Kyle, the Michigan Wolverines, um, probably moving on up after a couple losses in front of them. Um, it'll be exciting to see what these new rankings are. The first set of rankings, though, I did agree with pretty heavily, and we'll see where the committee goes here after this crazy week moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. And as Michigan's at least could be number 20. They were 21, going to be 20 against as Iowa did lose to Oregon. They will jump them at least 20. How far does Virginia and Louisville fall will be the question this week, as pretty much everybody else in the top 25 handled their business. So as Washington lost, as Missouri lost, so there's a new top 20, 20, pretty much 21 through 25 teams are going to be adjusted this week. So yeah, how far is Louisville and Vanderbilt? If they're going by the eye test, did they really look? Virginia didn't really look that good against a Wake Forest team that they only put up, like, I think I have it in my notes here, only 9 points against a Wake Forest team at home. That is bad. That is not good if you're trying to make the playoff.
Yep.
And so if they go by eye test, how far did they drop? Louisville kind of struggled against Louisville or against California, but they still kind of won. So it's going to be very interesting to see how those two
No,
happen. But
Louisville lost in overtime, 29-26.
yeah, and overtime. So it's gonna be very interesting to see where they drop. How far do they drop? I don't think they'll be out of the rankings. They shouldn't be, but it's be very interesting now. Now this is where it gets interesting now, because that, remember we talked about it a couple weeks ago or last week, that Virginia NC State game was not a conference game for some weird reason. Was not a conference game. So Virginia only has one conference loss now. Which kind of, I forgot to look it up why it's not a conference game, but it's very interesting. So that's kind of, I don't know about that. That's weird. If you ask me, that's kind of weird. So we'll see. But the rankings, if the committee sticks to what they're doing, obviously we're
It's
gonna have
very weird,
controversy.
and
Go ahead.
I mean, this is where the controversy starts, because a lot. I mean, they made the rankings and understanding that a lot of these teams were about to play each other this week in the top 25. I mean, we had a bunch of top 25 matchups, um, and uh, and some teams right outside of it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of controversy. And if any of you watch the selection show, even the analyst said the ACC and the Big 12 are going to cause the most parity. And now we're already seeing it in week 2 of the rankings. Louisville Falls, Virginia Falls. Those were the top 2 teams in the ACC. BYU Falls, they were the Big 12 leader and swapped with Texas Tech. Um, Oregon and Iowa, if you go off the eye test, while they said that Oregon was a very strong team, we'll talk about it here in a minute. Oregon barely won that game. Iowa had it won. They scored too quick, but Iowa had it won. Same thing. Penn State had it won. Mendoza throws a prayer and it gets answered. So, I mean, now we really get to see what the committee really looks for because some of these teams played very lackluster and got upset. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. And it'll be also interesting to see where and how they hold the ACC and the Big 12 when it comes to um, up against everyone else as well. Because, I mean, the ACC isn't very strong when it comes to the rankings, but they do beat up on each other pretty well here. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that ends up working out. And as we wait for Kyle to get back, I'm sure Kyle will want to touch on it. I'm going to kind of just touch on it for him. As you guys see here, the Buckeye Leaf, Ohio State Buckeyes take care of business against Purdue. Julian Sand looks like an animal. No Carnell Tate, which was very interesting to see. Obviously, would rather be more on the safe side than sorry. But I mean, yeah, they handle business. Jeremiah Smith has a crazy day, 10 for 137 and a touchdown. Max Clare goes back home, goes for 5 for 60 and a touchdown. Running game started to light it up a little bit late. Bo Jackson goes for 14 and 75. Isaiah West 90, 9 carries, for 60 yards. So you're seeing the freshmen get a lot more run here, Kyle. As I mentioned, just touching real quick on the Ohio State game as the Ohio State homer of the group here with the Buckeye Leaf over my right shoulder here. They looked great. Jeremiah Smith for president of Ohio, Julian Sand for Heisman. They looked good. They handled business without Carnell Tate. Kind of sounded like he had some tightness pregame. They kind of knew that they were going to handle business and held him out to be more safe than sorry. But going back on the rankings, Kyle, it'll be interesting to see how high of regards they hold the ACC and the Big 12 because they don't have a lot of teams in the rankings.
Yeah.
But they all beat up on each other. So it'll be very interesting to see in what regard they hold the Big 12 and the ACC here moving forward.
Yeah, it's be very interesting to see how they play it, how they move going forward. As you said, Ohio State, it was a sleeper. Like we were watching it, I wasn't even paying attention halfway through. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they'll get a good challenge maybe on the road. But yeah, it was just sleep. It was nothing you could really hang your hat on. It was very vanilla, as they knew they were going to go in there and take care of business. Purdue had one good shot at the beginning and kept it close for about a half a quarter or so, but it was just really nothing you could hang your hat on. So it's kind of boring. I really have no thoughts on that game as no Mark watched, but we'll also look at
Jeremiah Smith for president.
Jeremiah Smith as I found out, it's actually his birthday on the day of Michigan Ohio State game. So that'd be very interesting to see how that goes as well.
I'm gonna bake him a cake and send it to him. That's my boy right there.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the rankings, as we're not much talk. They play UCLA this week. Should still not be much of a challenge, but we will see. Maybe a quarter, if that. Maybe a couple series as they get their feet under them at night. But we'll see how it goes as well. So as Michigan, they play Northwestern coming off a bye. Very interesting game at Wrigley Field, the friendly Combine. So it'll be very interesting to see how they play. We think, let's not do that. Let's not do that. So I don't think it'll be belt. We think they should win, but I don't think it'll be belt to ass. But we shall see moving forward. So we're going to talk real quick. We're going to kind of blow through this because I know Mark's kind of on a time crunch here, and I am as well. So let's talk another game. We talked about Wake, Virginia pretty much with that one, how that game went as Wake defeated Virginia as an upset. We talked about Cal and Louisville in overtime. So what a game as those are kind of shakeups. We kind of talked about all these games. Right? Oregon lost to or beat Oregon. As we'll talk about that game for a minute, Mark. As that was very interesting, Mark, because who would have thought that Iowa would hang around? We kind of thought Iowa would hang around. As I told you, when Iowa scored, they left too much time on that clock, and it kind of showed. And Oregon came down, went down the field, and won.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what, Kyle? I am going to give you props because you said Kinnick Stadium at night is a very, very difficult place to play. You talked about it. I talked about it, and it showed again. They did their wave, they did what they needed to do, and they almost pulled it out.
Yeah.
Had it not been for a couple penalties on that last drive, they would have won. They had them stopped. They had the game won. Penalties happened, dumb mistakes happened, and Oregon comes down and handles business. But I mean, Kinnick Stadium's no joke. Iowa is not a team that you walk in and just roll over. And they showed it, and they showed why they deserve to be in the top 20. I still don't think that they should fall very far because not only do they have that game won, but they give everybody they play, it's a backyard brawl. It's a street fight with them.
Yeah.
It's never guaranteed. And I genuinely thought they had that game won. I was going crazy as I was out with a good buddy of ours watching the game, and he was sweating it out, thinking that Iowa had done it. But I mean, props to Oregon for handling that last drive well. The kid kicks a field goal to win it, and here we are. Oregon stays in the top 10, but they better get their stuff together because they're playing in close games. You play in too many close games, you're asking to get upset.
Yeah, and we kind of knew the Kennick Voodoo Magic kind of came to a head here as it was they look good, but their defense was their defense. Their quarterback, they still kind of struggled, but Oregon, it's tough. They got USC coming up still. Oregon's got Washington, so Oregon's not out of the woods by any means yet necessary coming down the stretch. As Mark said, one more loss that could do them in because you still got Michigan hanging around, USC hanging around, and luckily Washington lost, so they're pretty much out of it. They're pretty much done for the season. They're pretty much just playing for a better bowl game at this point. But yeah, as Dante Moore, I mean, they all struggled. It was raining, it was cold, a little mix, but that's what good teams do. Good teams win. They win and they move on. So it'll be very interesting to see how Oregon plays the rest of the season. As I really thought Iowa had it. It's just that safety hurt them too. That safety hurt them. That first drive of the game or second drive of the game, whatever it was, that hurt them. So that's 2 points. You take away 2 points, you're going in overtime essentially. Or if Oregon or Iowa kicks the field goal, you're up by 1, trying to hit a field goal. So it's very interesting game as it was a game lived up to the hype. As it was, Iowa still can't get over that hump getting a CFP, unfortunately. So we'll see. Maybe could they upset USC? Probably not because it's at USC, but looked very good. But the Kennick Magic, what a beautiful thing. What they do with the kid at the Children's Hospital, that's very awesome. I like that, and I know Mark likes that too. So the little wave, it's very nice that what they do there for the kids. All right, we're going to go real quick. We're going to keep moving as BYU and Texas Tech. That was a belt to you-know-what, Mark, as Texas Tech pulled off the win, 29-27. BYU, I'm kind of shocked by the score. I thought BYU would have more fight than what they did. Texas Tech dominated. They played the defense looked outstanding. Their quarterback, even though when they had quarterback questions, who was available, who was not, Mark, but I guess BYU QB for a freshman game almost. Surprised by pretty much the moral of the story. I was surprised by BYU's effort.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess when it comes down to it, if any of you like Kyle and I watched the Pat McAfee show, the coach said they had a good game plan and they were ready to rock and roll against BYU and take back their throne over the Big 12, and that's exactly what they did. Texas Tech looked good. They looked ready. They looked prepared, and their coach didn't bluff. He's very similar to Signetti in the fact that he kind of calls his shots. He talks his shit, and then he ended up backing it up. His team played well, and now they're the front runners again in the Big 12. They take the O of BYU, but I agree, BYU kind of got punched in the mouth and then just rolled over. And I didn't really understand it because they haven't done that before. They fought in tough games and come back and blown teams out. They just got punched in the mouth and quit. It's like they didn't want to be there.
Yeah, and all that hype, and after dominating the Pat to be undefeated, now they're still in the thick of it. Their one loss ain't gonna kill them. They're still in the driver's seat for the Big 12 title game. Could be a rematch in a couple of weeks if and a neutral site. That'll be very interesting to see if they do get that rematch. But there's obviously a lot of hurdles to get through before we even get there. So, but yeah, it's just their defense played outstanding. And I was talking to a couple other guys. We talk about betting. I was surprised. I'm like, why is Texas Tech favored by 11.5? I'm like, with a BYU team coming in undefeated on the road. I was like, okay, maybe on the road.
Their offense looks good.
Yeah, by 11, I'm like, that's too much points. I go, that's too many points, but I guess we know why it was too many points. That's why when we bet, we think we know, but then we don't know. So it's kind of
Washington, count your days. Count your days, Washington.
Washington as as what a game that was. We'll get to that in a second, real quick. But yeah, as I think BYU still has very much of a shot as anybody in the Big 12, the top 5 to get into the to the CFP. I think if anything, they'll be an at-large, especially if they lose. If they get in a conference game and lose, they could sneak in. But it's that damn Notre Dame pesky team. That damn Notre Dame pesky team here. They just find a way. They're still hanging around. That's why we gotta root for Pittsburgh this week, Mark. Root for Pittsburgh this week to get it done, but I don't know. That pesky, we forgot about them, so we'll see how that goes. But hey, give Texas Tech credit. They're in the driver's seat after losing earlier on to Arizona State of all teams earlier on in the season. So we'll move on really quick to I want to talk about this game. It's kind of an upset, kind of put the dagger in Washington's season. Wisconsin defeating Washington 13-10 in a defensive struggle, a yucky game, Mark. As the Fighting Luke Fickles, after getting announced that he would keep his job for another year, kind of responded with a huge win to maybe boost that team's morale.
Yeah, I mean, a big game for them. Another one of those Wisconsin really rainy dogfight games. I mean, Wisconsin was on a 6-game losing streak, and they come in, they get the home game. It's raining. Desmond Williams doesn't play his best game, has a touchdown and a pick, but I mean, he was basically their whole offense again.
Yeah.
He carries the ball 19 times, throws it 32 times. Washington went completely away with getting him any help this week, and it showed. Whereas Wisconsin, I mean, they played 4 quarterbacks in this game, Kyle. 4. They played 4 quarterbacks. 2 running backs had more than 15 carries. So they spread the load out as much as they could, tried to keep everybody fresh, and whoever was the hot horse for a drive, they rode it until the end. Good win by Wisconsin, something that they needed, something that Fickle probably needed as an ego booster as well, especially after getting the backing that he's going to be there another year. And with the way the Big Ten is, you can't sleep on any games, and Wisconsin is another one of those tough places to play. And they got the ideal weather to kind of scare Washington into playing Wisconsin's game and play a sloppy, nasty, bad weather game, and Wisconsin comes out on top in a real barn burner of a game, and Washington had a chance to win it. They got the ball back, and then stalled out on 4th down. Wisconsin made the defensive plays they needed, and excuse me. Now Wisconsin goes into Indiana looking to spoil a second straight team's Big Ten hopes after snapping a streak. So Indiana might want to be careful.
That's not going to happen. I don't know where you're getting at. That's not going to happen. They're lucky to beat Washington. I don't know how Washington, some type of, they had some good, they have some good receivers and a good mobile quarterback. They was not able to contain. They were contained Williams, and they had a couple shots down the stretch, especially in the third quarter, but they couldn't capitalize. And Washington did this kind of musty. It kind of reminded me of the Michigan Ohio State game last year, where they just kind of lulled Washington to sleep and kind of just hung around, and then at the end they struck. So be very interesting to see Washington had all. We'll be interesting to see where if their head coach stays after this season. We'll see if he maybe takes one of those other jobs somewhere. Maybe does he a candidate for a Virginia Tech or an Arkansas or an Oregon State type of job, because Washington doesn't look like they're going anywhere, especially after losing this game. They had their hopes in front of them. They had a slight chance they would have won this game, especially playing Oregon. But right now, their hopes are pretty much done and dashed, and it becomes a 5-team for a 4th-spot race probably for the Big Ten. And Washington, they had their shot. Like I said, they had their shots against Ohio State and Michigan to make a name for themselves. They get Oregon. Maybe that's a game they win. But Mark, I don't know. Coming down the stretch, you just never want to play as we always say, if you don't play your best in November, an L always finds you some way or another.
Yep, I agree. And with that, that's where I get it from when it comes to Indiana. There's two things as we kind of transition over to that game a little bit, using that bridge there. You touched on two things, Kyle. You said good teams find a way to win, which Indiana did, but you want to play your best football in November. They're not playing their best football right now. Penn State does still have a lot of talent, but now there's tape on how to give Indiana trouble. We talked about it with Ohio State. There is a blueprint out there if a team can find it. If the team has the horses to do it. Now there's tape on Indiana on how to give them trouble. Penn State figured it out a little bit. They gave them a real good scare. They won on a prayer with 30 seconds to go. I mean, for everybody, you do want to play your best football in November, because otherwise that's when teams understand coaches are coaching for their jobs, whether it's to build a resume for a promotion to one of these big schools that we've already talked about has firings, or to keep their job on maybe a team that was supposed to perform better and kind of say, hey, look, we finally put it together. Give me another year. Yeah. Give me another 2 years. Let me build on this. So now you have coaches and you have teams maybe that have underperformed, trying to put tape out there for either the NFL, for the transfer portal, or for promotions. And this is a time where you're going to start to see there's going to be a lot of close games if some of these teams aren't careful and they start overlooking people.
Yeah, and Indiana does got Wisconsin this week. They get a bye, and then they play Purdue. And then if they should, with their schedule, make it to the Big Ten title game, waiting either Ohio State, USC, Oregon, or Michigan the first Saturday in December. So they should be okay. But Purdue's their rivalry game. So it'll be very interesting to see if they do get slipped up. But I do believe it is at Purdue at night. So you just never know depending what type of Purdue could give them a run there. I mean, they had flashes against Michigan. They almost beat Michigan and flashed against Ohio State. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes this week or this coming week. So we're going to pick some games here to kind of move it along and wrap it up here. As Mark, we're going to start big one as Notre Dame and Pitt. This is kind of if you don't want Notre Dame in, this is a big one as Pitt is still hanging around. This is their chance to get back into the college football playoff conversation. Who do you got?
I'm taking Pitt. I know Notre Dame has looked strong, but they've looked strong against weak opponents. I think Pitt has this tradition of finding a random game and blowing up the committee's plans for everything. Pitt does it time and time again. They play good in big games. Yeah. They're 7-2 right now. They're scoring a boatload of points, and I think they're very, very slept on. I'm going to take Pitt based off the fact that they're also at home. Don't forget that. So, Pitt at home in the middle of November. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they've played better opponents. They've beaten better opponents outside of outside of Notre Dame beating SC and A&M, they really haven't played anybody else. Pitt kind of has their ACC gauntlet, so to speak. And I think Pitt also knows if they win this game, they still have Georgia Tech and Miami left. So this is an important one to keep playoff hopes alive after they've already beaten Florida State. And they had a tough game against Louisville. They know this is their last chance, and I think this is the game that they take for the year and kind of blow up everybody's plans. Give me Pitt in a close one.
I like Pitt. I like him in this game, but as much as I want to say Pitt, I think Notre Dame will find a way to win. Now, I would absolutely love if Pitt wins, but I
I'm
don't
gonna
know,
do
man.
cartwheels.
I could see the thinking freshman quarterback or yeah, a freshman quarterback slash sophomore going into this type of atmosphere against Pitt. I, I'm sick of Notre Dame. It could be close. I think Pitt could win. I think they could, but I think Notre Dame's scrappy enough. They'll pull it out. They got Jeremiah Love though. That's the thing. Jeremiah Love. They lean on that running game with that
That is
duo,
true.
and I think they'll be okay. Unfortunately, they'll win, and that probably could solidify their spot in the CFP if they get the win, which I'm hoping not. We're hoping not, but we'll see. I like Notre Dame in that one. All right, another one here as Oklahoma and Bama. This is pretty much for it all. This is pretty much for Oklahoma's chances to get into the CFP. You lose, you're probably out. You have a long way to climb from here. I'm going Bama, Mark. I think ever since the John Mateer injury, Oklahoma hasn't been the same. Bama's rolling. Oklahoma's season dreams end here this weekend against Bama.
Yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say Mateer kind of had that injury, and his Heisman hopeful and everything else kind of went away. And I mean, Ty Simpson is playing lights out. He looks exactly the part that everyone said he looks. He's talking himself into the first round of an NFL draft type of player. Bama is rolling on all cylinders, and I think Bama puts a fork in Oklahoma and keeps it pushing to the SEC championship.
Yeah, and it's coming beats probably right now between A&M, Georgia, and Bama for the two that get into the conference title game. So it'll be very interesting to see how that transpires. Another big one as we'll go Navy and USF as the 12 team playoff. The group of the smaller teams have wide open after Memphis losing. It looks like they got Oklahoma in there. Or no, it looks like they had Memphis in there. It looks like USF is the next team in there by all calculations. So it's Navy versus USF. Navy spoil the party again for a second straight week, and USF get in find a new team come next week, Mark?
I mean, I think I actually like USF in this. I think last week playing Notre Dame probably hurt Navy and hurt their ego a little bit. I think had they won that game, I would be taking Navy here. But I think USF has showed time and time again how good they can be when they're rolling. They've beaten some really good teams, and now they have everything in front of them with the group of five portion. I think this is going to be another big win for them. Give me USF to take home the win, and I think they end up being the group of five team that comes out based off of the resume. I think they're going to be undeniable by the end of this.
Yeah, it's tough. Navy showed signs there without their quarterback. We don't know if their quarterback's going to win or going to play. So I'm going USF. I think USF is. We talk about this beginning of the season. USF would be the team to watch out for, Mark, as they have kind of resolidified their spot in the top 10. So I'm going, or in the group of 12. So I'm going. I'm going USF. I just think they're going to be too much down the. I think they're going to be too much for Navy without their quarterback. So give me Navy.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go with another one here in TCU BYU. It's kind of. Well, TCU did lose, so we'll still talk about a quick pick. I think BYU bounces back against TCU.
Yeah, I agree. TCU did play a tough game last weekend. As far as score wise goes, I think had they won, they maybe have some momentum and could give BYU a bit of problem and trouble based on the fact that BYU kind of had a humbling experience this past weekend. But I think at this point, BYU knows that they have an opportunity here to come back and get a get back game against Texas Tech if they run this table. And I think BYU returns to form and puts TCU down in the dirt and smothers them early and often and starts their road back to that Big 12 title game where they'll probably see Texas Tech in a rematch and try to get their leg back.
Yeah, I like BYU. This is pretty much case and simple, like Mark said. They're going to take advantage, and TCU literally lost everything, all their dreams of the CFP this past as losing Iowa State. So I like BYU in that one. All right, the big one to wrap up the picks for this week: Texas and Georgia. Texas, just like Oklahoma, winner. If you win, you're in. You lose, you're pretty much out of it and need some help to get in. I'm going Georgia. I think Texas dreams go to die. Georgia's really playing up. They've really bounced back from the last couple seasons. I think Georgia's on a collision course with either A&M or Bama for the SEC title game. So give me Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Georgia as well. They're playing good football. I love Kirby Smart as a coach as much as I hate the SEC. You got to respect him. He has built that program up. They know how to win. And, I mean, they play hard. Stockton has gotten better each and every week. That defense is still a Georgia defense. And I think this is the end of talking for Arch Manning this season. He'll probably be back next year because he has shown a lot of flaws in his game. And I think they show even worse against Georgia this week. Give me Georgia, and I think Georgia could win very big.
Yeah, going on a road. We haven't really seen Texas win a true road game. They came back from double-digit Mississippi State, with Mississippi State's a lesser team, so you can't really judge off that. And I don't know how Mississippi State let that lead go away, but I like Georgia. Yeah, Georgia in this one, they win convincingly. I agree with Mark. It could be close, but could they win convincingly to kind of ruin Texas' season and kind of put a stamp in the committee? So we'll see how that goes moving forward. All right, so we're done with that. We're going to talk a little bit quick. We have UFC 322 coming up. Makayev versus JDM, Jack Madella, for a lot for the pay-per-view this week. So we're going to kind of run through this. I know we're on a time crunch with everything. So we'll go. Mark, who you taking as Bernal Darius and Benoit Saint-Denis in the first fight on the card?
I think I'm going to go Benil. I mean, while Benoit is kind of up and down, he started to get his opportunities in the upper echelon of the division. That didn't go very well for him, and I don't see it going well for him here. At the end of the day, Benil knows how to win and keep his name around, and I think Benil wins this one probably pretty handily. The only way I see Benoit having a chance is if he knocks him out.
Yeah, as we all remember, Steve, he's giving us his picks again, so we're very excited for that. And so we have he went 6-3. His overall record 6-3-1. As that one came on the Tam Aspinall Cyril Gane fight where it ended in a no contest. So fortunately, he had an okay day. It was kind of a weird fight, kind of a weird reaction as a couple of fights could have went either way. But for this fight, he is taking, as Mark, he's taking Bernal too. Both had really good last fights as Bernal can win on the ground and undefeated at the same on the feet against some of the best. But I feel Saint Denis only path is on the ground most of the time. Risky pick, but he's sticking with Bernal. So I'm going Bernal too. I just think this is kind of a rematch against each other and second fight. It's Bernal's second fight this year. And 7 years, Dennis is second years younger though, so that's kind of playing a factor. I said Bernal. I think I'm going to go Denis. I think St. Denis is going to come out. I just think the age is going to play a factor in this. And I wouldn't be shocked if they go Bernal, but Mark, I'm taking Bernal or Benoit St. Denis in this one. So, all right, we're going to move on real quick to Leon Edwards versus Carlos Freitas. As Freitas had a great fight last time he fought again, and he's facing Leon Edwards, it's a very interesting fight. As I think I'm going to pull it. I think I'm going Carlos. I'm going Freitas. I think Freitas is just going to. He's going to take advantage of this. He's going to take advantage of this opportunity. I don't trust Leon in this situation. I think Freitas is too quick for him. Edwards is on a losing streak. All 6 of Freitas' fights have came off TKOs. So give me Carlos in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I love Leon Edwards, and I've been pretty vocal about it ever since he won that title. I thought he should have had the title shot earlier. I love how he fights, but I think Protez is just a different type of animal. He's a nasty, slick striker, and not only is he young, but he doesn't give a shit. He sits there, smokes his cigarettes, he parties, he comes in, he whoops ass, and he goes and parties, smokes some more cigarettes. I think I don't see this being a KO TKO situation. I think it's just a masterclass striking battle, and I think Protez wins that as he's an insane level kickboxer. I think Protez wins this one, and there's a reason he's a favorite.
Yeah, Steve's going Leon. Leon, he says he has a champions, as Mark said, a gas champions gas tank, and Freitas takes more risk and has a loss where he got outclassed. He likes both fighters, but he takes Leon with the experience. So I could see that in a big fight feel with the title going there, or with the title experience, as Mark said, is going there. So we'll see. Protez, like we said, had a good fight his last fight. As I think, I believe that was a knockout, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a knockout. We were talking about knockouts, so well, there. This is an interesting one. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. This is an interesting one. Michael Morales is one of the up-and-comers, but still kind of finding his way in the UFC. As Brady is a submission specialist. Morales is undefeated. Half his wins are TKO, so it's kind of a knockout situation here for these fights. Mark, who do you got and why?
I'm going with Michael Morales. There's just something about the guy. He said that he wanted to test, and Sean Brady, obviously didn't have to take it, but willfully took it. He's 18-0. He's got disgusting power in his hands, and I think he catches the chin of Sean Brady, whose striking is getting better, but it's just not on that level. And I think when it comes to Sean Brady, he's going to want to take him down. But I think Morales knows that and understands that he's going to want to find that chin early. Kind of reminds me of almost like he just reminds me of just those knockout artists that just always find the chin. And I think he finds the chin on this one. He goes 19-0. I know he's the underdog. I know it's kind of crazy to bet the knockout artist to live and die by the knockout, but I think he catches Brady's chin on this one. I think Brady will be a little bit too confident, thinking that he should have got a title fight. And I think Morales catches that and puts him to sleep.
Yeah, I like Morales in this one. I think Morales, he's too quick, and he's got the reach advantage too. And I just think with the TKO, I always look at the TKOs and submissions and how the fights end when we're kind of studying these. So I think the quicker hands are going to come into play against Brady. Brady's not a bad fighter either with his submission, but I think Michael Morales will take home the win in this one. As Steve is going to go Morales too. Big reach advantage. Morales is ahead of Brady in the striking department, which we kind of alluded to in wrestling and in jiu-jitsu. Brady's definitely better, but he'll take Morales to keep his undefeated record, which I agree with that as well. All right, the co-main is for the title fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, I think. I don't know, but we'll see. This is a very interesting fight. All fights for Shevchenko, Mark, did you know, have all been title fights when she's been in the UFC. I've been looking at it. Very interesting how great she is. Only loss came kind of one of her first title fights. So Weili, no, you know what you get. She's a ground for pound striker. She could strike quick against her opponents, but mainly title fights as well. So it's very interesting, Mark. I don't know who to take in this one. I want to say Shevchenko, but I wouldn't be surprised if Weili win. I'm going Weili. I just think it's going to be too much. I just think Shevchenko's not. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I just think Weili. They're both matching up well, but I think from experience, Weili wins this one.
It's tough because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is Weili going up a weight class. While she's small, she's compact, she's strong. Valentina's striking is just nasty. She also has really good jiu-jitsu, and there's a reason why she's only fought in title fights. Give me the title fight experience against an array of different opponents. I'm going to go Valentina on this one, but I think Wei Li does come back in this weight class eventually. I just don't think it's now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to pick, but yeah, wait. As Steve's going Whaley too, but Savchenko decision wouldn't shock him at all, and he thinks Whaley's striking is better, and it's her time to be one of the greats. So we'll see how he does. And that's an interesting title fight, 5 rounds and that. All right, the main event, the card circled around. I sound like Joe Anik when I say all right, we move on, but like our guy John, we love John, we love Joe, we love DC, all great guys when they do these events. So they're big.
Oh, of course.
Big ups for that. We love them. So, as Islam Makhachev versus JDM, Jack Madella, we call him. So, Mark, I'm going with the guy. I'm going with Islam. I just think he's the experience. I don't think JDM knows what's coming.
Yeah, I agree. I think Islam probably washes him out. I mean, people are surprised that he could even make 155. He's going up to 170. Wrestling is the ultimate equalizer, and his hands have gotten better and better and better. While Jack Della Maddalena has nasty boxing, I don't think he understands how strong Islam is on the ground. If you talk to or look at interviews where people like Oliveira and things like that have felt his pressure, I mean, they've said he's the strongest guy they've ever felt on top of him. And I think he wet blankets him. I think he beats the shit out of him. I think he submits him. And I think he becomes double champ.
Yeah, Steve's taking his one of best in the world. JDM's no slouch. Just look at what he did to Bilal in his last fight. If Islam has trouble,
Yeah, Bilal's a fucking bum.
Yeah, Bilal's fighting in a couple weeks. Can't wait to. I think he's fighting actually the following week.
Not to mention, I just thought about it. Steve might have put it in there, but Bilal and Islam do have a history of training together. So everything that happened to Bilal to make Bilal lose, Islam can use to beat his ass.
Yeah, he thinks Islam will win. He got Islam by decision or submission at some point. So we'll see. 5 rounds to decide that fight. So it'll be very interesting to see how the weekend goes. As is episode 15. We made it. We got through it. Internet and all.
Episode 15, baby.
I get to say goodbye for once. Holy hell. What the hell is this? Hell is frozen over.
It's a Christmas miracle.
I get to say goodbye. Usually it's Mark saying goodbye. But folks, we seriously thank you for tuning in. If you're watching us for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. We are 8 subscribers away from being able to go live on YouTube. And we want to make this PSA. We know we were talking about going live on TikTok. We were thinking about it. We're still going to try to do it. We just thought maybe to focus a little more on YouTube, but we're going to maybe do it for the 20th show in a couple of weeks. See, 5 weeks from now, I'm counting 1, 2. I got schedule in front of me, but I got calendar in front of me. 1, 2. So, okay, maybe mid-December. We have to see with our guests and all that too, but because we have another guest coming up in November, December. We do have a guest coming up in 2 weeks. Don't forget, our good friend Brain is going to be joining the show. Going to talk all things football, maybe some little basketball. But we promise, guys, we're working on things behind the scenes. Once I promise it's going to be a whole different show once football's over. We're going to definitely debate a little more, especially when we get into the draft and we get to other things. So I promise you. It's going to change. That's why we kind of threw in that betting, that Guardian stuff, because we're trying to give a little debate. But it's going to happen. We're going to get through it. We're going to change on the fly. We want to do the TikToks. We want to do the live and chat with y'all, and that's what YouTube's going to help us with. We get on YouTube. We can chat with y'all in the chats, and so we're going to be all right. We're working on this week by week. We bounce ideas off each other every day as we wake up and like, oh, how about this or how about that? But we're gonna do another live here soon. We promise. Might be this week. We're not gonna guarantee it, but we may. Just depends on. I know Mark's had some trouble this week with his TikTok, so he's so yeah, we're trying to deal with that. And
whoever got into my account, go fuck yourself, buddy.
So we got to that's kind of the reason we didn't do it. Plus, we kind of decided maybe YouTube's just to stay on YouTube since we're marketing there, but we're still continuing to market YouTube, but. We're going to work on it. We promise we're going to get back to you. We're going to make this the best show ever we can each and every week. So, with that being said, Mark, it was a great show. It's been a pleasure. Bucks play UCLA this week. Michigan
Go
Northwestern.
Bucks, baby.
We are getting closer, folks. That show at the end of that show coming up, it's gonna be if the game means a lot, we're gonna be rocking our gear. So better tune in. It'll be Michigan Ohio State week. We cannot wait. The hatred's gonna be ramped up. Because I'll be honest, folks. Me and Mark might not talk after that
3 weeks away,
podcast.
I believe.
What's that?
We're 3 weeks away, I believe, right?
2 weeks, pretty much 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Saturday.
Ooh-wee.
And I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with y'all. Me and Mark might not talk come right after we record on Monday. That might be it. That might be it. We might not
Be over with.
say a word until Saturday afternoon. So we'll see how that goes. But no, we'll talk. We'll talk because we can't. We'll talk. I'm sure we'll have to go over the show in the following week.
Oh, of course.
All right, folks, it's been great. 2 hours. Holy hell. I'm happy I got to say goodbye. That's why I'm kind of prolonging it, but I know we got to get going. So we thank you for joining us once again. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all that have served and are currently serving. It's never forgotten. If you see a veteran, thank a veteran, shake their hand, tell them thank you because they deserve it. And we wouldn't be here without them, wouldn't be enjoying what we get to enjoy every single day without them as well. So happy Veterans Day. Stay safe, stay warm. It's snowing outside. It's football weather, soup weather, all the above. I'm Kyle. He is Mark. We will see you next week on The Final Whistle.